Hey everybody, welcome to Alabama Blue School for September 2023. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Um, so welcome. Tonight we've got a two-part program. So the first half is going to be a discussion of the qualifying process and what executive committees need to do to prepare for qualifying candidates. So Jamie Lowe, who is the Lee County Party Chair, is going to talk about it, as well as Marcia Sturdivant, who's the Shelby County Party Chair. And then at 7:30, Corey Creel will be joining us. He had a conflict. He's going to be joining us to discuss field organizing. So it's going to be a great program. Thanks everybody for coming, and we'll stick around afterwards and talk about some UDeKalb business for anyone who's interested. But why don't we just go right ahead, and I'm going to pass it over to our two county party chairs who are with us this evening, Jamie and Marcia.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to talk about this. And I guess we'll tag team this, Marcia. So I'll just go over my notes real quick. Qualifying is probably not the most difficult thing in the world to get, well, from the candidate's standpoint. From the executive committee, obviously, is a little more meticulous there. So qualifying for running for public office on the partisan ballot is determined by the partisan executive committee. So for any office that's not a county office, qualifying is determined by the state executive committee and the state chair. And so for all county offices, like school board, if you have elected school board, Lee County has elected school board, um, probate judge, county commission, sheriff, and those positions. Now the judicial offices, Lee County is a unique, not completely unique, but it's a unique county where our district judges run exclusively in Lee County, but they still, because they're not technically a county-wide position, they qualify at the state level. So our circuit judges, our district judges, our circuit clerk, I believe those are the only offices that run like that, or will qualify at the state executive committee. Now, in the Democratic Party, the state Democratic bylaws prohibit the county executive committee from setting qualifying dates prior to their date. And so they've announced that their qualifying date is going to be September 29th, which is next Friday, I believe. So county executive committees have the authority to set qualifying dates that on that date and after. And then by statute, qualifying must end on November 10th. So that gives about 6 weeks if your county executive committee picks the same date of September 29th, like my county executive committee elected to do that. So once the county executive committee establishes a date, a resolution is passed, and a resolution, excuse me, must be publicized. We're putting it on our website and on our Facebook. I'm also sending it as a press release to go in the local newspapers, explaining the dates of qualifying. In fact, I think our press release already went out. I need to double check to make sure it's been published, but including the dates of qualifying, the fees. By statute, executive committees are allowed to levy up to 2% of the salary of the position sought as of qualifying fees. My county is doing that. So if you're running in Lee County, you will pay 2% of the salary of the position sought to the executive committee as a qualifying fee, but certainly that's up to the independent. Hello, Ms. Frazier. Each independent executive committee. Certainly, executive committee can choose to waive that fee or establish a smaller fee. And okay, and as also in the resolution is the date, the fee, and the location in which. Typically, the declaration of candidacy and declaration of qualifying must be notarized. So it's helpful to have a physical location, to have candidates come and meet you and sign that they have the intention to seek whatever office they seek, that they live in the district that they're seeking to, and that, registered voter and all the information, notarize that. I'm a notary. It's helpful that the person that they meet is a notary so they can notarize that. But in recent years, when I ran for the state executive committee, and Marcia, excuse me, correct me if I'm wrong in this regard, well, I qualified online. So my executive committee will have a form that's available online. We're still working on the kinks about online qualification because I don't know if it's statutorily set out that it must be notarized, but it certainly is beneficial to have it notarized. And certainly doing that online is difficult. I don't know of a way to notarize something electronically. But like I said, we're still working on the kinks on that. We will also have a place to do it physically, probably be at my house. I don't know. We'll see. But just as long as candidates know clearly where they go to file their qualifying forms and whatnot. I believe I already went over which candidates qualify for what positions. Did I go over that? Like, it's probate judge, county commission, it's board, qualifies at the county, everything else qualifies at the state level. And obviously municipal races are nonpartisan, so they qualify with the city clerk. But I don't think anybody's having a municipal election this cycle because I think all of them are off of presidential cycle. With that, that's all from me. Unless anybody has any questions, I'm gonna turn it over to Marcia.
Okay. That was great. I really appreciate that, Jamie. It was a very succinct summary of how qualifying goes at the county level. And I think the only thing I'm going to say is point out how different counties can be different. Because you did say your county has decided to have qualifying fees set for county offices at 2%. And that was our qualifying fee for county offices up until this year. And this year we voted to change our qualifying fee to 0, sort of as an attempt to see if we could get more people to qualify. And so that's going to be something new for us. And just because of that, and because of the notary part, I think is something that isn't required statutorily, I don't think, but it's required to prove that your signature is yours, right? So instead of allowing mail-in or online applications, all our applications are going to be in person. They're going to have to give their form on paper to me in order to qualify. I want to do it that way this time because of our 0 qualifying fee, because I want people to have to meet with me face to face and tell me they're a Democrat. And sign that paper that says, I'm telling you the truth, I'm a Democrat. Because it's possible without having a qualifying fee that we may have some people run that are different than that. Let me just say it that way. So I'm going to have, my cell phone is out there everywhere anyway. It's on the Al Democrats page. It's on our county page. It's on everything I send out. So I'm going to have qualifying candidates call me and we'll arrange for a place to meet. And that's how I'm not an official notary, but I will watch the candidates either sign the form or hand me a signed form that verifies that they're who they say they are and that they're a Democrat. So that's not required to do it that way. I'm just doing it that way because I have decided to change our qualifying fees to 0.
I have a quick question. What do you then do with those forms? Do you keep them? Do you file them with anyone?
No, myself.
Yeah, we keep them internally.
Right.
In case there's a question at some later date.
Right. And yeah, basically, especially if because people giving me their form, that won't complete their qualifying process. Oh, that's something we probably needed to talk about, Jamie. That's the beginning of the qualifying process. Candidates also have to file online with the Ethics Commission a personal financial statement about the stocks and bonds they own and the name of all their parents and the name of their siblings and the names of their children. All that has to be filed with the State Ethics Commission before people can be qualified. And they also have to appoint their campaign committee online with the Secretary of State's office. That also has to be done before a candidate can be qualified. So filing that little piece of paper, it has check boxes that says you've done those things or you're about to do those things, but it doesn't require that you do it at the time that you submit the paper. It just requires that you do it within 5 days. And so it's the job of the chair or the chair's appointee, like a vice chair or something, to check online and make sure that those particular online statements have been filed before a candidate can be qualified. So there are a few more steps. Yeah.
Another question. And then what's the process for then getting these candidates on the ballot?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I
go ahead,
actually,
Jamie. You can explain that. Yeah.
I wrote that down. I was like, Jamie, did you say that? Um, yeah, so after qualifying is closed, the probate judge, who is the election administrator, I will send a letter to the probate judge certifying that these are the candidates. Sorry, you can hear my dog shaking in the background. These are the candidates that have qualified for what position on X date, and so he will then place those candidates on the ballot. And I was actually going to ask Marcia this: what's you all's process for, like if somebody challenges the qualifications of a candidate, say that somebody alleges they live in a district that they don't.
I'd have to look it up because the process will be whatever it says in state law and in the Alabama Democrats bylaws.
Yeah.
Which we don't
we-
have anything in our bylaws about that. So I would have to look it up if somebody did a challenge.
Yeah, our bylaws specifically mention a process. I remember I wrote the bylaws, and I was again not very. I was kind of vague, so I was like, well, maybe about if that does happen, I'll ask some other county chair if they had an experience. Right, but
I try to
in the yeah, in the event that there is an issue, then I would have to, somebody is qualifies that we have to then take off the ballot. Then again, a letter that the chair will send to the probate judge to have that person removed from the ballot.
Right.
To be done with the X amount of time.
Yeah, I guess a challenge could happen. And hopefully we're as chairs, we do a good enough job of qualifying our candidates that we won't have a challenge happen. But there's always a chance that we'll miss a challengeable issue.
Yeah. Like residency. Do you verify residency in your county?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. So
I have another question. Could you both, I'd love to hear both of your thoughts on, because Jamie, you're in my county, and I know that you have wanted to have this fundraising gala ahead of qualifying deadlines. I'd love to hear what you both are doing to try to attract candidates to these positions, or how you're approaching. So those are the steps that you have to do to get people on the ballot. If you could both also talk about events and other measures and activities that you take to try to fill up that ballot.
Well, and you mentioned one of the things there. I came to the realization that when I took over that people don't really trust our party anymore here. And so when I was approaching people who had either A, previously run for office, or B, I thought would have been interested, they're like, well, I don't want to come out and lose, it's a lot of money, it's expensive, whatnot. So I came out, okay, well, perhaps there's a way that if I had a big event for all Democrats in the county, not all Democrats in the county, but a significant chunk of Democrats in the county, where people who may be on the fence about running for office could see, okay, it's not just you and your neighbor and your church member. There are a significant amount of us in this county, and perhaps we can't win, but certainly there's enough of us to give it a good run. So I'm planning that event. I've also have been making phone calls to people who I think are interested to show, okay, I'm as the county chair, I'll my job is to support you to whatever extent I can. So one-on-one information there. And then we got a full executive committee finally. Well, not quite full, but it's bigger than what it was. And so I'm hoping that I can convince some of them to to run in their respective districts. Unfortunately, we don't have very many things on the ballot this cycle. At least now we have 3 county commission seats open, and only one of them became open because of a death. So ordinarily we would just have the 2. And so there's not been a lot of publicity about what's on the ballot. So we're trying to publicize that. We're putting it up on the website as what positions are open. And then putting stuff on Facebook and stuff like that. So that's what we're doing.
Okay. In Shelby County, we have a pretty active party. We're not big. We have about 100 dues paying members, but that's not small either. And so what I do is most of the people that I've contacted about the possibility of running for county commissioner or running for school board have been members of the county party. And right now, I think we might be at 5 or 6 candidates that I think are going to do it. I can't give any names except my own. Okay, I'm going to run for county commissioner, but the other people, I think they're gonna do it. So I think, and that's the last time we had county commissioner. There was only one candidate for county commission 4 years ago, a Democratic candidate, and she was not a member of the party. So I think things will be a little bit different because hopefully this time around, unless a lot of candidates just come out of the woodwork that I don't know, I think a lot of these candidates will be people that know each other and people that know me. And I think that will be useful in creating a team, a collegiality among a team of Democrats who want to run for office. Now, keep in mind, I could be totally over optimistic, and I may be the only candidate I've got, but I don't think so. I think we're going to have at least a handful of Democratic candidates. Yeah.
Yeah. In that regard, I think I have a bit of an uphill battle because we had a rather large slate in 2018. And there wasn't the infrastructure at that point in time that we have now, and so people are a little bit jaded and burned, and so I have to unlearn that information before I teach them something else. Do you have any currently elected countywide positions in your county?
None.
Well, we have the one.
Yeah, we have countywide positions, none. We have some Democrats in municipal positions, in city councils, and but to be honest with you, we're really about getting our message out right now, aren't we? We're really about running candidates so that our candidates can speak on democratic issues, and maybe, it's unlikely any Republicans will want to debate, but maybe our local reporters will want to talk to us, and our colleagues who are really good at writing press releases will write good press releases about us, and we'll knock doors, and our neighbors will find out that we're Democrats and that we're going to run for office, win, lose, or draw. That's what I'm hoping for. One of the things I in Shelby County, it's a 69-31 county, 69% Republicans, 31% Democrats. And there might be 68 because there might be a 1% libertarian in there. Okay. And so and our county is drawn so that none of the commission districts are very they're all very Republican commission districts. The closest one is District 2, that's about 40% Democratic, probably. And these are all estimates because no one exactly knows. But so we don't have, we have to work on messaging. We have to work on Democrats coming to vote that haven't voted in a long time. We have to work on Democrats who've stopped voting, and so they've lost their voter registration. We have and we have to work on, maybe we have to work on this, I'm not sure, maybe moderate Republicans who found that the Republican Party's moved a little bit too far to the right for them. So we have a lot of work on messaging to do. And so it'll be about doing better than we thought we would, maybe, rather than having the big W, right?
Yeah. And I think you hit on a big thing there. And I think the chief responsibility as members of the executive committee and leadership and party leadership is that we have to be honest with our candidates. We have to have a real conversation about, okay, I think maybe this is not the most winnable district in the world this cycle, but because of your sacrifice, we can get publicity, because I think that the party is as strong as our candidates are, and our candidates are as strong as our party is. So it's like a fulfilling cycle there. And so the only way to build the party is for candidates to run in these positions. And so I have 4 county commission districts where a Democrat has not run in a long time, so I don't really know what the numbers are because we have no frame of reference. And so the way to fix it is to have somebody in those districts running for those positions, so I can see, okay, this is the 35-65 district, or this is a 48-52 district, so I can actually see those numbers there. So and that'll be the conversation, a very real conversation I'll be having with people who are interested in running for public office.
Yeah, I agree. That being honest with people about what winning means, what doing better means, in really red counties. Keep in mind, every blue voter that votes in a red county that's one more blue voter potentially in a statewide race.
That's true.
Okay,
That's true.
and one more blue voter for the president, or so it's really important that we run candidates even in red counties, because that's how we get our voters out to vote, is by having them have a candidate that they want to vote for.
Well, and then also having candidates keeps the Republican Party from allocating resources to some of our districts that are already blue. So instead of, they don't have to worry about 2 or 3 districts because no one's running against them. So they're going to push all the resources to the one district that we are winning. We're winning one in our county. And when I said being honest, also being honest about what the county party can do. So there are some things that I don't have the ability to do as a county chair, and there's some things I don't think that the county executive committee has the ability to do. But I think there are some things that we do have the ability to do. So if you have a real conversation with your candidates about, okay, I can support you in this area, this area, this area, we can facilitate support in this area, this area, this area, and these are some of our deficits. I think then you can have a real honest conversation with the candidates. The candidates trust the party, and everybody's working together for a united front. And then when you have an active county party, you can have some consistency between messaging on different positions. Like if you have 2 people, 3 people running for county commission, they can be saying similar things. If the messaging works there, we can share resources in that regard within legal means, I guess. But obviously there's some limitations on what resources we can share and not share.
Right. I think candidates have sometimes different sorts of expectations of what they think the county executive committee can do for them, and being really clear and knowing what can happen during a primary, when really the county party's job is to run the primary, right? And that's why, for instance, in my county, since I'm going to be running for county commissioner, my vice chair, Jack Jacobs, will be qualifying the candidates. If I have an opponent, which I think I will, a Democratic opponent, he'll qualify me and he'll qualify that person. So we just have to know how things can be different during a primary as compared to after a primary. And we have to be really honest with our candidates about what sort of infrastructure is available. So yeah. I
have one person, I see Emily. I have one person who has declared intention to run for office, and I think we have an incumbent that I think will run for re-election. And I tell everybody I want a contested primary, and I can say that now as somebody who's not running for office. If I was running, I probably wouldn't want a contested primary. But I think one of the challenges about having an uncontested primary is we have these candidates that qualify for office, and no one hears from them until November for the general election. So this sneaks up and people are, I didn't know such and such was running. And so I have one candidate, like I said, who's running for a position. I say, run like you have a primary. I don't think you're going to have one, but run like you have one, so you don't sneak up on people in November. That being said, as the county chair, I would love contested primaries in all of our open seats, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
I think in red counties, we can have some fun with it. Like my potential opponent that hasn't, that I'm not sure about yet, if we do it, we're going to debate. Why not? He's my friend. And we'll debate, and we'll have agreements on a lot of things, but there'll be things that he or she, I'm not gonna, thinks is primary important on a commission, on the county commission, that I think is number 4, right? And I think something else is more important, and it's why I'm running. So we're gonna have fun with it. This person is a friend of mine, so I hope we work it out. I hope we both do get qualified, and we get to try to do something like that, because it's really about messaging and about bringing our democratic message into places that haven't heard this stuff for a long time, because nobody's talking about it. So we'll just see how it goes. And I'm hoping that will also happen in at least one other commission district. All 9 of our commission districts are up for on the ballot. They are every 4 years. They're all elected at the same time. And if somebody moves or something, the governor slides a new person in. We don't have a special elections for county commission. So anyway, so it's very interesting in our county. I'm not saying that Shelby County, that all the counties are like that, because they're not.
Yeah, ours is staggered, but
yeah, it's just depends on the county. And it also depends on how your county has decided to do its commission filling of seats, right? If you have special elections, or if the governor tells you what to do or whatever, that just depends on your county's bylaws, I guess, and what they've decided. So anyway.
Well, thank you so much. I think a real important thing for us to think about as Democrats in Alabama is redefining success, and really thinking about what's achievable for us where we are right now. And I feel like you both gave us a lot of really good ideas for what it would mean to have some successful candidates this year. So thank you so much. We're going to move on. Corey Creel is with us now, and he's going from one meeting to another, and like many of us are doing these days. So thanks so much for being here, Corey. Would you, I'm going to hand over the floor to you, and would you start off by quickly kind of introducing yourself to everybody? We are recording this, and we'll be posting it on our YouTube channel. So
all right.
Take the floor, please. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Corey Creel. I have been involved in politics since graduating from Jacksonville State University in 2010, history and poli-sci degree. Got a law degree in 2018 when I also ran for State House Representatives District 88. I've been in and out of politics ever since, and in between. Started out as a volunteer in Fairfax County, Virginia on the Jerry Connolly campaign, where through my work ethic, I quickly was offered an internship, worked as canvasser, phone banker, data entry, did basically everything but field organizing and communications. The deputy communications director really took a liking to me and took me under his wing. Showed me the Organizing for America's grassroots organizing playbook, and always kept me challenged and staging locations and all of that. So I've been in and out. I've seen it all. Well, I can't say I've seen it all, but I've been involved in field more than anything else. And this most recent cycle, I helped out the Rick Neighbors and Will Boyd campaigns for their respective races, and developed kind of a playbook for going from the numbers as we see them for free from the Secretary of State's office to implementing a field strategy around that information. And that's what I want to share with y'all tonight. I'm more than happy to give any more background information as y'all want it. But other than that, I can just dive right into a presentation I've provided for y'all. All right. So let me just switch my screens here. And if it's up in front of you now, Emily, I don't know if how that's set up. Let me silence this phone. I'm sorry. I should have done it before I came over. Well, I've been running like a chicken with my head cut off. Now, the presentation just titled it Field Organizing by the Numbers, just to kind of reiterate what we're doing. And no matter what state you're in, you should be able to locate the data. Oh, whoops. Okay, let me see if I can share my screen then. Let's see, share. Always something. Share screen. There we go. All right.
This is Gene Harris from Barber County. Is it on the screen yet, or am I not?
You're
Just
not seeing it
seeing.
yet, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay,
It
good.
should be
Thank
coming
you.
up now. Are you seeing it now?
I am not seeing it.
Shenanigans, I say. Here we go. All right, there we go. Bear with me. While I am involved in politics, technology, I am not. All right, so here we go. Field organizing by the numbers. Huzzah, there's a real slideshow going on here. Now, as this slide says, and please feel free to share this slideshow with your membership. And as it points out, that provides you the URL to find the election data for any recorded election that's midterm, presidential, what have you. You can actually pull up an Excel spreadsheet that we'll get to a screenshot of here in a moment of the actual raw data of all available registered voters of precincts within every county and so forth. And then it will go into all the ballots cast by precinct in those counties and into each individual race. So I've got prepared in the screenshot I'll get to is 2018, but you could also get 2022, 2020, what have you. It's the same information. So the way that I have it is the way that I would have prepared it for Mr. Neighbors or Mr. Boyd's campaign or Dr. Boyd's campaign for their races. And so if you just follow that link, it will take you to where you want to go in Alabama. Every state should have the same raw data though. Oh, see, this is what happens. All right. Now, can everybody read this okay, or is it too small? Should I zoom in? Okay. So this slide here is just about how to view the raw data. As I said before, the way that I initially saw this information as being useful was to take it precinct by precinct and first of all, determining a win number. So what you would want to do is take all of the voting information of ballots cast from whenever I did the last 4 elections. And you try to get a regular ballot cast total. And I think for my election, it was like 12,000, something like that. I can't remember. But working from that number, if it's 12,000 total ballots cast, you would want 50% plus 1, therefore 6,001 votes would be your winning total as a candidate. So you want to work from that number in developing a strategy for a candidate. So when you get this county data, you want to track the precincts for each race and try to develop a way to get to that number. So 6,001. So now, this last little paragraph here just tells you there's 33 precincts in Pike County, depending on whichever race that precinct's voting for. But they also give us absentee and provisional information. Now this is very small, so let me zoom in here. So this is the raw data that I've been talking about. And over to the side, you'll see that I just kind of did some quick math in Excel to show the total ballots cast for 2018 in Pike County was 10,113. 50% of that would be 5,056 and a half. So you want your winning number to be 5,058, right? So I would look at this data here, and I want to find and target precincts that I know I can have a shot at, a reasonable shot at. So the first thing I want to do is eliminate any precinct that is corrupted by straight ticket or straight party ticket voting. And you can do that. As you see, I've color coordinated it here, do it as you see fit, but the red is straight party voting for Republicans, blue straight party voting for Democrats. The green are your just raw totals. So total registered voters is what you're seeing up there at the top, that first green line. The second green line is your total ballots cast. Now, I would determine your precinct turnout and your overall voter turnout. And then I would determine if the straight ticket voting that you see down here, color coordinated blue or red, was over 50% of the total ballots cast, meaning that there's a heavy straight ticket Republican bias in that precinct. And I would just make note of that by color coordinating the ballots cast, as you see that I've done up here. Or you could do it by the precinct just to make it even bolder to your eyes. And you just don't ignore it. Don't ignore that precinct, but you don't want that to be the first place you put your time and your money, your resources. Because it's all about saving the valuable resources of the campaign. And as we all know, the two most important to any campaign are time and money. So what you want to do is you look at the straight ticket voting, your biggest precincts in Pike County are things like Troy Rec Center, the Troy Adams Armory, Pike County Courthouse, and Galloway Road Community Center. That's a total I've already counted of well over your winning total registered voters. Now it gets a little bit different with the ballots cast, as those you're seeing in Troy Rec Center as being less than 50% turnout in that precinct. And you just start looking at these numbers and you understand where your population, your big population samples are. And if that precinct has high voter turnout. And if it does, it indicates that you have high voter engagement. And so we're looking for volunteer or voter engagement, and we're looking for favoritism that we can feed off of. And so the dark purple colors were precincts that I thought should be targeted by Pike County candidates and campaigns. If they're in gray, that means they're a heavy population center. And if I want to target them, I would then color coordinate them into a dark purple. That just signifies to me that that is a precinct I want to focus on. I want to put some time, I want to put some resources into it. There's not a Republican bias. There's either high voter turnout or the potential for it. And so that indicates to me a precinct that needs resources and some love. So for instance here, I highlighted First Baptist Church. As you can see, you have 1,200 total voters registered there, and you have slightly more than 50% ballots cast in that area. Now, if we look down at a straight ticket voting bias, neither party has one. So this is wide open for volunteer contact and some love and and to gain these voters. That's battleground. That's first to my resources. Another example would be Banks Voting Center number 2 over there on the left. Now, that's not to say that you don't want to show some love to your favorites like Pike County Courthouse, but as you can see, even though there is a Democrat, and that's the third orange one from the left, as you can see from that, that's a high population center, but there's low voter turnout, lower than 50%. But there is Democratic bias. So that would get a lot of my attention to start out with too, because that's a lot of ground that we could look for to gain in this county. So that would be my strategy to get started in developing a strategy with a county. Now, here's where we ran into a bit of a problem with this in the campaigns. The number one most important resource to any campaign is time. And I say that because a lot of times campaigns, especially in Alabama, in my experience, I should say, will injure ourselves in the foot, so to speak, about how to get up and running. We want to get money and we want to get the big crowds. That's not what it should be about. Every vote counts. And if we're going to say that, we got to show that in our actions. And the way to do that is to start as early as humanly possible. And that is where Joshua Raby and myself really got into wanting to show the county parties some love as much as we could, because y'all are the top commodity for the Democratic Party. And the fact that we're not seeing that more is the reason why there's not so much involvement with county parties across the state. Pike County being an exception, because I know y'all and Marshall County Dems, y'all really put the foot to the pavement. But we're not seeing that across the board, unfortunately. And it's because we as a party are not showing the county parties enough love. But the way that we can change that is to show these candidates and to show these elected officials that we are a force to be reckoned with, and they should really care about us staying energized, because during the off season like we're in now, you can really save a campaign a lot of time and a lot of resources by developing a good field organization. And this is, in my opinion, the best way to do it. You identify these highly targeted precincts and you start developing a network. This is where Organizing for America really did a great job during President Obama's first campaign and on throughout his tenure as president. Now, and the way that you do that is you start from literally the ground up, hence grassroots. And I'll go ahead and scroll us down here to, if I can, that's the problem I have mine. There we go. And this is just, if you got the manpower and you got the resources to get it, just a wish list of the structure. And it's top down from the campaign manager, just because I wasn't thinking. The way that I would want you to think about this is from neighborhood leader down, right? So the campaign manager is just managing the resources in a strategic way. There's no reason to think of them as the top of anything, to be quite honest with you, because they're coming in late to the show whenever they get paid. Now, the neighborhood leader is somebody that you just love to have. They show up to every event. They know everybody on their street and then some. So you want to get them into anything. And I'm sorry, did I see a hand raised? Do we have a question?
That was me applauding you, saying that neighborhood leaders should be at the top.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Amen.
They are the people you want to put on your back. You want to empower them, embolden them. You want them showing up to everything. And the reason being, not only do they know who all is likely going to be a yes voter. They're also going to know who to call to try to pack a local event, because every time a candidate shows up to any place that's not their own personal home, they want to see as many voters as is humanly possible. So you want to contact your neighborhood leader and you tell them, hey, look, we're looking to have an event over in your precinct. Can you help us pack it? And they'll start the call list. Over them organizing their efforts and sending them out to key places and maintaining that list of information, you have your precinct captains. These are also people you want to embolden. So your good neighborhood leaders, make them a precinct captain. They know people in other communities. They know a lot of people in other neighborhoods. Those are their neighborhood leaders. And however they want to structure it, let them structure it. So precinct captain maintains that level of organization. I, as a field organizer, I would want to call precinct captains, because they're going to know all that statistical information we just went over for their precincts. I, as a field organizer, would give them this information. This is how many voters we have in your precinct. This is how many voters I have to get my candidate in that precinct more and more. And that's going to challenge them. You want to see my candidate? Get these people to the event. Get these people on the phone. Get them in a call center at a staging location, making phone calls or going on canvassing. And so that's the mission of the precinct captain. They're just there to help organize, cheerlead as much as humanly possible, and manage the data that the neighborhood leaders bring in. They send all of that information up to a district manager. So this is how you divide all the different races that go on in Pike County. So if I were to show you the full Excel spreadsheet, you would see in 2018, we have Tabitha Eisner running for congressional second against Martha Roby. You would see Walt Maddox going up against Kay Ivey. You would see all the state races, statewide races, and then you would also see all the state houses and state senate of Alabama running as well, as they apply to Pike County. Okay? So every race that touches Pike County, I don't care if it's a sliver of real estate that comes over into the county, it has access to a precinct and its numbers are included in that data. So the district manager gets a little bit more information. They get all the precinct captains' contact information. They know what candidates are in which precincts. And so I, as a field organizer, would have all of them on speed dial, right? And as soon as my candidate is coming to Pike County, I'm calling the district manager and they're going to tell me who I have to have on speed dial, who I have to call first and foremost to get a candidate up and running in Pike County. They are the gatekeeper to the county. And if I'm speaking too fast, it's because I'm so excited to actually be talking to a county party. So you just tell me to shut up or slow down or whatever you got to do. Next, you got your paid staff. I'm just putting that in there, not because it's necessarily important to the overall structure, but just to pay homage to, you do need some paid staff. Whenever I was working as a field organizer in Smithfield, Virginia, I and my field director were the only two paid staff of not Jerry Conley's campaign, but William K. Barlow in Smithfield, Virginia. And we were the only two paid staff, but we were making 1,000 phone calls a day. Both of us made 500 phone calls plus a day, led the state of Virginia on delegate phone banking. But I did the math on that, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And you're not going to keep many paid staff running them in that fashion. Most phone calls even if they're a missed call, they're going to take you anywhere from 1 minute to 1 minute and 30 seconds. So if you do the math on that, an hour-long session, you should get about 60 missed phone calls. If you're lucky, you get a 10% return rate. So you get 6 people who actually answer the phone. That's a lot to ask for somebody who's not paid, a volunteer, to do multiple sheets of. So a good 2-hour volunteer session, I would expect my volunteers to return 100 to maybe 180 phone calls. But I wouldn't try to do any more than that. I wouldn't ask my first time volunteers to do any more than 60. I'd give them turf that's first time voter contact because it's not stressful. It can be just very casual conversation. Now, paid canvassers or paid phone bankers are different. These are people who are trained to persuade and to get contacts on second or third contact. These are people who can actually have the conversation, stay on a script and on an issue sheet. So paid staff are your paid canvassers, paid phone bankers, lit droppers, what have you. But these are people who know how to do it, know how to do it efficiently. You could expect them to give you, I don't know, 120 phone calls in a canvas in a phone banking session that lasts about 2.5 hours, right? And come back for more the next day. And then so if you can only expect to have 10 paid canvassers or 10 phone bankers, you really want to be able to manage that turf to cover 120 or so of your most important contacts. Okay. For county party volunteers, that should show the time commitment that goes into this voter contact. And if we're trying to get, what was it, 5,058 yes votes, you got to call 90% more, or actually whatever it is. You gotta call the other 90% to get those 10% response rates of yes voters, right? So you got to call 50,580 phone numbers to get that return. You can't do that mid-May in the middle of an election cycle. You're just not going to hit that number. It's not possible. Without shelling out a ton of money or getting an army of phone bankers. And then that's just first contact. That's first round. You know, you're just then getting to know those voters and what they want and what issues they care about. So if you're really going to hone in on an exact figure, you're talking about contacting 50,000 people twice. That's 100,000. And every session, you're not getting any more than 200 out of any good volunteer. You're not getting any more than 250 out of a paid volunteer. So starting early is the most essential thing in campaign management. Now, so that's your paid staff. Your volunteer coordinator is going to know that. Volunteer coordinator is the person with the most bubbliest personality you can find. Anytime somebody steps into a staging location or into campaign headquarters, they're there with a bottle of water, a thing of turf. They get their contact information and they make sure the volunteer is as comfortable and as happy as humanly possible. Because the potential in having volunteers come back for another session is most definitely going to be up to the volunteer coordinator. They are worth their weight in gold. Without a volunteer coordinator, your field organizer's responsibility is to do that, cut turf, meaning phone bank turf and canvassing turf, and manage the district managers, your precinct captains, so on and so forth. It becomes a lot more onerous, but it's definitely doable. But if you can get a field coordinator, they're great to have because they're just there to make the entire experience of helping out a campaign that much more enjoyable. As we've already kind of elaborated, field organizers are your grunts. These are people who can take numbers and do something with them. They believe in results, and largely because the numbers tell them to. But it's their job to implement the strategy that the campaign manager or the field director tells them in an effective way. They need more numbers, more showing out of a particular precinct. They call up the precinct captain or the district manager and they figure it out. They're your problem solvers. Field director, that's the quarterback in our little sports metaphors. They're the ones who call the plays that the candidate or the campaign manager tell them to, and it's no nonsense. I need numbers. I need data. I need more data in Vote Builder. I need more data in L2. I need the information and I need it now. Otherwise, the campaign manager is going to shift the money to communications, and just the whole field strategy is going to be nothing but lit and door hangers. And my own personal opinion, they don't vote. And if they don't vote, I can't trust it. Now, that brings us to the all-important campaign manager. I really don't know what else to say that y'all don't already know about campaign managers. They are the person who has a strategy. They're going to stick to that strategy until somebody convinces them to change it. And without data, you can't do it. So my biggest advice that I want to get through in this discussion is to start early, to trust in the process. But if we only do this every 4 years, it ain't gonna happen. It just can't. You can't do this just on election cycles. It has to be continuous. And the only way to do it is to have the right people continuously working to find this information in the off season. And for that to happen, we have to have county parties, and we have to keep our county parties happy. And I'm so happy to see all of y'all on a call this late, listening to some accent talking on and on. So that's all I've got for you. I'm more than happy to answer questions. This went a little bit longer than I intended it to, but I like to talk.
Corey, thank you so much. That is, you're speaking all of our favorite language here. This is a very friendly crowd for you to be talking about. We're all nerding out about all of this.
I can do it all day.
Yeah. Any questions from anybody?
So
right.
I have one.
Cool.
Let's go.
So could you go back to the spreadsheet?
Absolutely.
So was this information available on, because I have a copy of like a PDF scanned in version that I got as county chair. Is this available somewhere on as a manipulatable format, or is it just?
Well, depending upon what you mean by manipulatable, it's the data is what it is, but you can get it in raw data form as an Excel spreadsheet or CSV file at the Secretary of State's website. That's this hyperlink here will take you to a website at the Secretary of State, and it will have different years, and you can click on a year general election precinct level. That's the key. Now, this was a little tricky to find. It's not as easy. It's a little confusing. You can get the raw data totals very easily at the Secretary of State's website. But what you want to search for is election data, and precinct level I would include on the search, so that it will get you to this information specifically. Because what you'll do is you'll click on the year that you want, and it'll give you an Excel zip file of every county. And that's such a large chunk of information. They can only do it in a zip file. And so you won't just be able to get Pike County by itself. You'll have to get every county election for that year. And then you'll go in, you'll open up the zip file, you'll take out the county you want, and then that's the Excel spreadsheet. And I can't remember how many pages of information it is, but it's a good chunk because it covers every single race for Pike County.
Corey, can you put that link in chat?
Yes, ma'am. Let's see if I can.
And we'll also have this slide presentation to share with everybody. So you'll be getting that as well.
There you go. Uh-oh, that was
I
a
have a
direct
question.
message.
Yeah, this is just a pragmatic question. When we've been trying to do a lot of work in our county on recruiting precinct, we call them precinct leaders, but I think precinct captains and then neighborhood leaders is a good way to put it. But we have 37 precincts in our county. And right now we have 16 people who have stepped up to say they'd be precinct leaders.
That's great.
So it's hard. So we just aren't there yet. And if anybody has any tips or ideas on how to make being a precinct leader attractive to Democrats in red counties, I'd be really happy to hear them.
Well, I tell you what we did in Elmore County. I'm originally from Marshall County, and Rick Neighbors was running against Robert Adderholt, who's the current representative for that county. And so I was doing this for him in that campaign. And I got to tell you, there's not one county I've come across, the state of Alabama, that has more Republican bias. Now, that being said, there is not. It's telling me, hey, Tabitha's in here. That's awesome. But I'm sorry, I'm a fan. I'm about to fan out. Hold on. So anyway, with what you want to do is anytime they show up to a county party meeting, you really want to show them a good time and show them that you're really working hard. They've got a terrific county chair, just like y'all do. Her name's Susan McKinney, and she really energizes those folks. My mom's still up there, and I know they work very hard. And all you gotta do is you just gotta make it fun and challenge them. That's all. They know it's a hard road, but as long as they're not in it alone, they're in it for the long haul. And so you just make these events fun, but also challenging at the same time. And they'll keep coming back, because if they're still in Alabama after all the stuff that's happened since 2010, they're not going anywhere. And they're wanting a change, I promise.
Thanks.
Not a problem. One idea is to make it competitive. That's them to run to be. That's another thing. Yeah. Tabitha's 100% right. Make it a challenge. Make it a fun little competition. All right. You want to be precinct captain? Bring me 15 neighborhood leaders who will dedicate their house to a neighborhood event whenever a candidate comes to town. You bring me whoever brings me the most, their precinct captain, till the other one brings out more.
King of the hill, king of the
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Corey, I just want to give you, so I know that Linda Turner invited you to speak to us tonight. This group is we're called the United Democratic Clubs of Alabama. So
Oh.
we're a group that, so we're a working group is what we're called. And but anyone's welcome to join us. And our purpose is to grow connections and networks between people in grassroots organizations across the state, so that
Fantastic.
so that we can coordinate our efforts. And so there are some of us here from Shelby County and Lee County, and Tabitha's here.
Yeah.
So
That's
we're
awesome.
Barber County,
say again, Eugene.
Barber County.
Woo!
Dale County, Dale County.
Dale and Sherry,
Henry County.
Henry County.
Right on.
Represent. So this what we're doing right now is called, and Wiregrass, big
Yeah,
ups
there.
to Wiregrass.
100%.
This Blue School was inspired by Georgia Blue School, and this was
Excellent.
something that and we've been in contact with some people in Columbus there, and this was one way that they 12 years ago brought their different county organizations into coordination and cooperation and compliance with good democratic practices. So that's what we're trying to do. And we're recording this right now. We'll be putting it up on our YouTube channel. And we do one of these every month. And we just want to, share information and share resources.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this is all, thank you so much for everything that you said. And for me, I particularly liked the sort of org chart of a campaign, and I think it's really useful for us in local organizations to realize what segment of that is where we can work, and where that's the part that we can do in the off years. So the precinct organizing, the neighborhood organizing, the district organizing, that's all stuff that's kind of on us. And so that's really, I think those of us who are here in this Zoom tonight understand that and are trying to kind of spread that gospel.
Oh, 100%. If it's going to be grassroots, it's literally got to be from the lawn outside, wherever it is you're watching this from. And the buck stops here. It's not just the candidate, it's the voter. And anybody who's an Alabama Democrat right now, they know that it's a long haul. So I applaud everybody that's on this call, anybody who watches it on the YouTube channel. Thank you, and maintain your energy. We're all in it for the long haul, and we're going to change it.
And we're all true blue out here,
Yes,
aren't we?
indeed. Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you so much, Corey. Thank you, Jamie and Marcia. They talked to us a little bit about qualifying. And everybody just go ahead and unmute yourselves and let's say thanks, and let's just give a little democratic shout to each other, and then we'll say goodbye. Thanks so much.
Great to see everybody.
Yes, good to see
Yes.
everybody.
Good to see you.
Good presentation, good presentation.
Good to see you, Corey. It's been a while.
Oh,
Hello,
wonderful.
Tabitha.
Eugene, thanks for coming. Cheryl, good to see you. Miss Frazier, thank you so much. And Sherry, thank you for being here.
I love, no offense to the other districts, but I love how many people on this call are from 2nd Congressional District.
Yes, yes.
2nd Congressional District is so ready for this congressional seat to come to us. We have been working for a lot of years now and building and growing and developing those county parties. And I think it speaks volumes to that fact that, like, 2nd Congressional District always has a primary. And as Jamie said, primaries are so helpful. And we always have a congressional primary, and we've candidates